Good morning, Year 8. So today's lesson, we're mainly going to be looking at rounding. So explain why rounding is useful. It's going to be part of the success criteria, and also to round numbers to a given number of decimal places. And we've got some key vocabulary we're using, which is decimal, round, approximate, tenth, hundredths, and whole number. We'll do our activity now, which has 5 questions on, which recap all prior skills, and also an essential question. Please feel free to write this down on paper, or if you can find space in your work booklet. Use this time now to pause the video and take 5 minutes to complete these questions. Now's your opportunity to mark your answers. So number 1 is 71. Question 2 is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. Question 3 is 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. Question 4 is 550. Question 5 is £5 per week. And the star question is £28. If you need some more time to mark these, then just press pause in the video and you'll have enough time to mark them. So for this lesson, you're going to need some paper, line or square is best, but anything will do, and a pen or pencil, so you can do some examples we go through, and they'll help you to complete your work booklet. This was originally designed to be a live lesson. It's not as pre-recorded, so you won't be able to let me know in the chat, but you can write some comments in the Microsoft Teams area later on if there's anything further you need to go through. So if it's going too fast at any point, just press pause and take a little bit more time to go through those examples. So how can we round 0.54 to the nearest tenth? So the best way, draw a number line, and then we can sort of visually have a go at this question. So where is 0.54 on this number line? Each section there goes up in tenths, or 0.1. So 0.54 is just here, 4 dashes after 0.5. So now I need to think, is 0.54, is that closer to 0.5 or is it closer to 0.6? As you can see, it's closer to 0.5, therefore, as 0.54 is closer to 0.5, we can say that 0.54 rounded to the nearest tenth is 0.5. That's also, you can say, rounded to 1 decimal place. So 0.54 is approximately, this like squiggly equal sign means approximately is 0.5 to the nearest tenth, or to 1 decimal place. So key bit of information, we round to the nearest tenth, we can say we are rounding to 1 decimal place. So how can we round 0.35 to 1 decimal place? So again, we're going to start with the number line, and we've got 0.3 on the left-hand side, 0.4 on the right-hand side, and again, 10 equal sections. So 0.35 goes straight in the middle of those two numbers, 5 spaces to the left and 5 spaces to the right. So is 0.35 closer to 0.3 or 0.4? So 0.35 is exactly in the middle of 0.3 and 0.4. When this happens, we always round up. We can say that 0.35 rounded to 1 decimal place is 0.4. So if it's bang in the middle, we round up. So therefore, 0.35 is approximately 0.4 to the nearest tenth. So in this next example, we're going to see how we can round 0.268 to the nearest 100th. So again, I've got 0.26 on the left-hand side and 0.27 on the right-hand side, and again 10 equal sections. on my number line. So 0.268 fits in just here, which is 8 sections across from the left. So is this number closer to 0.26, or is it closer to 0.27? You'll see here it's only 2 sections away from 0.27. Therefore, when I round it, it would become 0.27. And this is because 0.268 is closer to 0.27. We can then say that 0.268 rounded to nearest 100 is 0.27. So now I'd like you to try these two questions really quickly. So the first question, 59.14 is marked on the number line. Is it closer to 59.1 or 59.2? And question 2, using the number line below, if it helps, is 3.86 closer to 3.8 or 3.9? You can pause this and take as much time as you think you need, and then continue playing after you've answered the questions. And your two answers are circled in red on this page. So the answer number 1 was 59.1, and the question to number 2 was 3.9. If you didn't get both of those correct, it might be worth going back again over the first part of the lesson and just recapping it again. So you'll be glad to know that for each of these rounding questions, you do not have to draw a number line. There is a quick way of remembering this rule. So basically, if the number is 5 or more, let it soar. So that means if we're looking at the last digit of the number and it's greater than 5 or greater, then that number will round up. If it's 4 or less, let it rest. That means if the number is 4 or less, as it says there, we will round down, essentially. So here's a quick example so you can see how this works. So you want to round 4.79 to 1 decimal place. That means we want our number to just have 1 digit after the decimal point. And it's the same as rounding to the nearest tenth. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the number that's going to be rounded. So that's, in this case, the 7. So that 7's either going to round up to an 8, or it's going to stay the same as a 7. So is it going to be 4.7 or is it going to round to 4.8? What we can do here is look at a digit after 1 decimal place, so after the tenths column, and that's the 9 here. So is that 9 greater than 5? So 5 or more, let it soar. So is 9 greater than 5? It is. So we can say that 4.79 will round to 4.8 to 1 decimal place. So because this number is greater than 5, it will round up our number in the tenths column. Okay, so example number 2. Round to 10.51 to 1 decimal place. So I'm rounding 10.51 to 1 decimal place. So again, I'm looking to have my number to have a digit after the decimal point, just 1 digit, because I'm rounding to 1 decimal place to my tenths. So is it going to be 10.5 or 10.6? Let's have a look. So I'm going to look at the digit after the one I'm rounding to. So in this case, it's the 1 here. So remember, if it's 5 or more, let it soar. So it's actually rounding up. If it's 4 or less, we let it rest. So look at this digit here. Is 1 less than 4? It is. So our 5 is going to stay where it is. It's just going to become 10.5. So we can say 10.51 is approximately equal to 10.5 rounded to 1 decimal place. Example number 3, this time rounding to 2 decimal places. So I go around 6.5148 to 2 decimal places. So this time we're given 4 numbers after the decimal point. So if I round to 2 decimal places, I'm going to look at the number which is 2 places after the decimal point. So 1, 2, so it's the 1 in this case. So now I'm going to be thinking, when we round this number, is it going to become 6.51, because there shouldn't be 2 numbers after the decimal point, or will it be 6.52? It's going to be one of those 2 numbers is the answer we're looking for. So again, we look at a digit after the place value we're looking at. So in this case, we're looking at the hundredths column. So we're going to go to the next column here. So is that digit greater than 5 or greater, or is it 4 or less? So in this case, it's it's 4 or less because it is 4. So that number is going to round down. So it's going to be 6.51. So therefore we can say 6.5148 is approximately equal to 6.51 to 2 decimal places. Brilliant. Example number 4. So this one's a bit of a unique example, and I'll show you why that's the case. So we're going to round 8.99 to 1 decimal place, so only 1 number after the decimal point. So again, I'm looking at the 9 here. I want my number to be rounded to 1 decimal place. So is my answer going to be 8.9 or 9.0? Let's have a look. So I'm going to look at the digits that is after 1 decimal place, so after my tenths column, which is the 9. So that 9 means it's 5 or greater, so it's going to round up the number in my tenths position. So what happens when I round up 9? So in this case here, when I round up the 9, this number becomes 10 in my tenths column. Now I can't have a 1 and a 0 in the same placeholder, so therefore this 1 needs to be exchanged into the next column. So 0 becomes my placeholder here, and 9, 8 plus the extra 1 whole from the tenths becomes 9. So my answer would be 8.99 is approximately equal to 9.0 to 1 decimal place. Now you might be asking, well, 9.0 is exactly the same as the number 9. However, our question says we need to round it to 1 decimal place, so we need to show that we've done that. So we can't just have 9, we have to write 9.0. That shows you've shown that you have rounded to 1 decimal place because there's 1 digit after the decimal point, even though you'd be right to say that's the same as just the number 9. But in these sort of questions, you must show it's 9.0 is your answer. Okay, now I need to spend a little bit of time to practice this skill that we have been doing. We haven't been through any examples of to the nearest whole number, but I think that should be quite straightforward. It's just a bit of a recap. People have done this back in year 7 and also probably in primary school, just to check those skills are still in place. Obviously, we've done rounding to 1 decimal place, so I think you should be able to complete this column and 2 decimal places. I've not actually been through any examples of 3 decimal places, but I'm hoping most of you will be able to have a go at that section there as well. So there are 20 questions to have a go at here, because for each number you need to round it to 4 different things. Please have a go at that for the next 5 minutes. You'll probably want to pause the video at this point to attempt a few of these questions. So, well done for having a go at these questions. I'm just going to flick through the answers now. So, first column to nearest whole number, we've got 63, 88, 150, 4, and 1. Now to one decimal place, we've got 63.5, 87.7, 150.0, 3.5, and 0.6. You'll notice that 150 is exactly the same number as 150.0, but because we're rounding to one decimal place, we must put that 0 there, even though it's not significant to the number. Two decimal places, 63.47, 87.66, 149.99, 3.54, and 0.60. Finally, to three decimal places, well done you had a go at these questions. 63.472, 87.656, 149.988, 3.540, and 0.600. You'll notice that for rounding 0.59999, the last three, they're all the same number essentially, aren't they? By going to two decimal places, we had to write the 0 in place for the placeholder, and for three decimal places, we had to put the 2 zeros in place. And we have a few more questions to have a attempt at. So these questions are more practical questions. For example, 51.26% of people living in a town are female. Round this figure to one decimal place. You'll probably do that in reality to make that number easier to understand. That's what we do rounding. Because we've got loads of those decimal places, it makes it a bit of a struggle to understand. So if you can have a go at those 5 questions, make sure you read the questions carefully, because sometimes the wording does trick you out a little bit. And I advise you to pause the video so you can attempt these 5 questions. Try not to take any longer than 5 minutes. And now this is an opportunity to mark your answers from the previous 5 questions. Hopefully, the majority of you got 5 out of 5, which would be fantastic. By now, just an exit ticket to sum up all the learning for today, just that you'd have in class. So, question 1, rounding this number to 1, 2, and 3 decimal places, and question 2, round this number to the nearest tenth. Ideally, about 2-3 minutes on this exercise, and then we will mark. And finally, please mark your answers from the previous questions. So 1A is 35.7, B is 35.73, C is 35.726, and question 2 is 80.0. Remember, we need that placeholder after the decimal point with a 0. Otherwise, if we just write 80, it will be wrong, I'm afraid, because it asks to nearest tenth, which is the same as one decimal place. I hope this lesson has been useful, and it should hopefully be able to attempt more of your work booklet now. Next week's lesson will be a live lesson, so you'll be able to write comments as we go through if you get stuck at any particular points. So I look forward to see you next week.